One of the greatest lines in the Course in Miracles is, a miracle is when an ancient hate becomes a present love. When an ancient hate becomes a present love. Think about that. Feel that for a moment. Hello and welcome to my channel. It is great to have you here. What you're about to see is a recording of a talk that I gave on a live stream. If you have any questions or comments about the content in the talk, please put them in the comments below, because I would love to answer any questions or see how it resonates with you. So once again, thank you so much for listening and for coming to the channel. And remember to please subscribe, like, and share with anyone that might need some of the content that I share here. All right, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, so if you don't have a book, it's okay. You can just listen along. If you have a book, I encourage you to follow. All right, so we are on page, in most books, 473 in the workbook. What is a miracle? So we'll read a little bit, we'll talk a little bit, and pretty soon we'll start to understand a little bit more. All right, so here we go. What is a miracle? Before I even start to read, I have to say this, is that, it's called A Course in Miracles. And in the book, the very first chapter of the book is 50 Principles of Miracles. 50 Principles of Miracles. And I would highly recommend that you go back. And I'm thinking about doing a series where for 50 days, we do one a day. I'm thinking about a series of that. So just maybe that'll come in the fall. But so you can look at that. But there's a million different interpretations and definitions of miracles. And so we're working with the Course in Miracles. We want to see what Jesus says is a miracle in the Course in Miracles. Capiche? Okay. So what is a miracle? A miracle is a correction. Boom. A miracle is a correction. It does not create, nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. Oh, so good. I'm going to say it again. A miracle is a correction. It does not create, nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. Oh, it's so good. So good. That's right. It just feels like, This harkens to what the Course would say, is that the world that you're seeing is an illusion. It's not the truth. It is the dream state of what you and everybody who is not at least starting to wake up is projecting all over the world. So what happens is we see devastation, we see all this stuff, and a miracle helps you to be like, oh my gosh, wait a second, that's not even real. And I know that can be really hard for people to get that, but don't worry, it's okay. It's real in the illusion, but it's not real if you get it. It's not real. So, it undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception, nor exceed the function of forgiveness. Thus, it stays within time's limits. This is so specific and so good, I can't tell you. We're going to go over it. A miracle undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception, nor exceed the function of forgiveness. Thus, it stays within time's limits. This is big. I need to mark. It undoes error. So an error can also be called a sin. A sin is an error or a or missing the mark. So a miracle will help you to see clearly, see the truth. It undoes that perception. Now, what he says here is so good. It does not attempt to go beyond perception, right? Nor exceed the function of forgiveness. So, in the dream state, in the illusion, we have perceptions. You either see it like this or you see it like this, right? In truth, there is no reason to have, there is no perception. There is only, one of the most basic tenets of A Course in Miracles is only love is real. Only love is real. And so what it does is it helps you to move your perception from devastation to love, from suffering to love, from craziness to sanity, right? It doesn't attempt to get you beyond the perceptual level of interaction, right? It doesn't do that. And it doesn't exceed the function of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. So when you forgive someone or something or yourself, truly forgive someone, something, or yourself, then your perception changes. So the miracle lives in the world of perception, because beyond the world of perception, you don't need a miracle. There's no miracle. Nothing needs to be corrected. Do you get it? Because there are no errors. There are no errors. Take a deep breath. If you're new here, just try to stick with me, because sometimes this can go fast. All right? Okay. Thus it stays within time's limits. So time is not real. It's just a construct. But the miracle has to live in time, because in truth, there is no time. There is no time. It's just a construct that we are following, right? That our egoic mind basically is following, right? Yet it paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening. What did I just say? This is a great line. Yet the miracle paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening. For fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it brings. Oh, let me say it again. Yet, we're talking about miracles, yet it paves the way for the return to timelessness and love's awakening. For fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it brings. When you have a miracle, first there's a and then there's a the gentle remedy that the miracle brings. So if you think about what we're talking about what a miracle is and all this stuff, and this whole book is a course in that, it's pretty powerful, right? It's pretty powerful to know that this whole course is a recipe to have a miraculous life, right? Okay. A miracle contains the gift of grace, for it is given and received as one. And thus it illustrates the law of truth the world does not obey, because it fails entirely to understand its ways. A miracle inverts perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortions that were manifest. Now is perception open to truth. Now is forgiveness seen as justified. A miracle contains the gift of grace, For it is given and received as one. Grace, another way of looking at grace, is when receiving and giving are exactly the same thing. There's grace. There's grace. And thus it illustrates the law of truth. The world does not obey because it fails entirely to understand its ways. The world knows nothing. The egoic world that we're projecting, knows nothing of truth. It's all caught up in illusion and then illusion and illusion and illusion and illusion and illusion. Right? This is the world we've projected. So it's caught up in all of these things. But the miracle helps to point the way to the truth. It points the way to the truth. One of the greatest lines in the Course in Miracles is, a miracle is when an ancient hate becomes a present love. When an ancient hate becomes a present love. Think about that. Feel that for a moment. A miracle inverts perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortion that were manifest. So, another great line from the Course is that the thinking of God is 180 degrees away from the thinking of man, right? So God is just living in truth. Grace is living in truth. Life is living in truth. But we are manipulating around, going around, trying to change, and the ego's trying to control everything while the truth is going on. But we think that manipulating and changing and getting people on our side or standing up for our stuff or blah, 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 blah. There's nothing wrong with any of that, but it is all a symptom of the real problem. And the problem is that we have lost our connection with God, with Source, with love. And when you have a miracle, you remember it. You go, oh yeah. So, and thus it ends the strange distortions that were manifest. So when you have a miracle in a situation, you've been looking at it, and then you have a miracle in it, you can never, ever, ever look at that person or that situation the same way again. You are permanently changed, right? You can never see it. You can never see it, right? Like I said, when an ancient hate becomes a present love, and then you try to go look at that person or that culture or yourself with hate as you did before, you cannot do it because you've had a miracle. Take a deep breath. Anyone that's new, welcome. Let's just take this moment to say welcome. My name is Max Ryan. I'm a spiritual director. I'm a law of attraction trainer, and I'm a 38-year teacher and student of A Course in Miracles. And these broadcasts, we take little chunks, we break them down, we see how they apply to your life. And this is a good place to just say, if you'd like to make a donation, I really appreciate that. This is the work that I do. And I create all of this for you free of charge. I don't charge at all. And so, I do have private students, but if you feel so moved and you feel like you get any value from the work that we do here, I invite you to give a donation. And always thank you with the bottom of my heart for the people that do donate and that consistently have donated. I really appreciate it. So that's that. I'm going to encourage you all to read this because we can't. First of all, these 2 paragraphs are a lot. They're already a lot, right? So I encourage you to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the very last paragraph in this, and then we'll wrap up. You read the whole thing, okay? Miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world, where starved and thirsty creatures come to die. Now they have water. Now the world is green, and everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die. For what has life has immortality. I'm going to read it again. It's so beautiful. Miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world, where starved and thirsty creatures come to die. Now they have water. Now the world is green, and everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die. For what has life has immortality. So every time that you choose love over fear, every time that you decide that you will not suffer, that you will be a conduit of love, every time that you have a shift in your perception, that your enemy is now your friend, that you are the perfect child of God. This is what happens. Miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world. So, one of the things about A Course in Miracles is I don't want to say didactic, but it can be very instructive, giving you lots of information, teaching you a lot of things all the time. But it also has these beautiful gems of poetry that just start pouring out like that last paragraph. Remember, life is beautiful. Life is joyful. And it's so well crafted in its structure of how he brings these beautiful, poetic chunks all of a sudden, and you go, whew, absolutely amazing. So I'm going to encourage you to read What is a Miracle. It's after lesson 340 in the workbook.